Welcome to our webinar entitled Esignature on BIR Forms or Certificates. I'm Attorney Arnold Apdua, and I will be glad to discuss this particular topic to our viewers today. But before we proceed with the topic, you can point your camera to the QR code in front of you to send any questions, clarifications, or comments, or even requests of any tax topic that you would want me to discuss. So, let us now proceed. To give you a background, alam nyo ba noong June 14, 2000, our former President Joseph Era Estrada signed into law the Republic Act 8792, otherwise known as an act providing for the recognition and use of electronic commercial and non-commercial transactions, penalties for unlawful use thereof, and other purposes, which in short is the E-Commerce Act of 2000. In its declaration of policy, it declared that the state recognizes the vital role of information and communications technology in nation building. And now, 2021, we realize and appreciated the importance of E-Commerce Act because of the COVID-19. We transact electronically, whether we file documents or papers to government agencies, when paying our purchases, and even pag-execute ng mga contracts by signing digitally. And with the BIR, it issued Revenue Memorandum Circular No. 29-2021, allowing the use of electronic signature or e-signature on certain Bureau of Internal Revenue forms or certificates and providing the policies and guidelines therefore. Timing to dahil na rin sa COVID-19 pandemic. It lessens yung interaction and pagkikita ng mga taxpayers, employees, suppliers to accomplish a particular form. Tandaan nyo that BIR already implemented the e-filing where it saves time and money for the taxpayers and the government. Kasi the data is transmitted directly into the BIR system electronically, reducing input errors. Pero in addition to the effect of COVID-19, the BIR has also considered the Ease of Doing Business Act, where it requires government agencies to streamline and reduce the number of processes in transacting with any government business. Remember that one of the ways to invite investors in the Philippines is by showing them how easy to transact with government agencies. Kasi kapag masyadong maraming requirements ang government agencies bago mag-business sa Philippines, baka hindi tumuloy yung mga foreign investors. So again, this RMC was issued based on the Electronic Commerce Act of 2020. Where it recognized transactions done electronically with verifiable security features are considered legal and binding. This is the age of technology where all of us can now transact electronically without leaving our homes, offices, and even countries and meet our business partners online. And to give you the definition of e-signature, it says that e-signature refers to any distinctive mark, characteristic, and or sound in electronic form, representing the identity of a person. It means parang ding manual signature yung gamit ng tao as it is distinct and verified by the person signing the document. Parang din yung thumb mark mo na unique and can be identified to be yours only. And it says, it is attached to or logically associated with the form or certificate or any methodology or procedures employed or adopted by a person and executed or adopted by such person with the intention of authenticating or approving an electronic data, message, or electronic document. Ibig sabihin is yung e-signature was intentionally placed on a form or certificate para patunayan na yung nilalaman ng electronic document ay authentic, and ang sabi nitong RMC, the e-signature includes yung digital signature and other methods of electronic signature. I guess some of you are already aware that there are some softwares that you can actually sign on an electronic document and can be considered as secured or locked. I am not advertising this software, pero if you will use an Adobe Acrobat Reader, it has a feature na yung portable document format or PDF may have your signature. Here is a sample where you can sign by typing or drawing a signature or even uploading your signature on the document. Meron ding isang method. I am not again advertising this software, but I came across Docusign, where you can just type your name and there is a corresponding authentication reference. This Docusign is being recognized globally because it conforms with the E-Commerce Act. So I have already given you examples of how you place a signature on electronic documents. As to digital signature, the RMC says it refers to an electronic signature consisting of a transformation of an electronic or an electronic data message using an asymmetric or public crypto system. Pag sinabi natin crypto system, gumagamit ito ng algorithm needed to implement a particular security service, most of the time for achieving confidentiality or encryption. Then, so that such person having the initial untransformed electronic and signer's public key can accurately determine, first, whether the transformation was created using the private key that corresponds to the signer's public key, pwedeng sabihin unique identifier of the signer, and two, whether the initial electronic document had been altered or the transformation was made. This means this should be verifiable na talagang nagkaroon ng change or modification on the document through the signer. And kapag sinabi naman na electronic document, it refers to information or the representation of information, data, figures, symbols, or other modes of written expression, described or however represented by which, take note, a right is established or an obligation is extinguished, or by which a fact may be proved and affirmed, which is received, recorded, transmitted, stored, processed, retrieved, or produced electronically. It means that it is composed of data, numbers, symbols in an electronic form, which may be a contract that establishes a right or cancels an obligation. In short, actually, any document in electronic form. And sabi, it includes digitally signed documents. So earlier, we have discussed on how you can sign documents digitally. It could be by drawing, typing, or even uploading a signature. And any printout or output, readable by sight or other means, which accurately reflects the electronic data, message, or electronic documents. For purposes of this RMC, the term electronic document may be used interchangeably with electronic data message. So it means as long as we use information technology in executing documents except the hard copy, that is considered as electronic documents. And for BIR purposes, there are certain documents that are now allowed to use e-signatures officially and as proof of transactions. We know there are times na madaming transactions ang isang taxpayer and it may take a lot of time para ma-prepare yung mga certificates, even in signing those certificates. This is an improvement on the processes required by the BIR. So the first document is the BIR Form 2304, which is the Certificate of Income Payment not subject to withholding tax, excluding compensation income. So this is a portion of BIR Form 2304. Take note that the payer must furnish the payee on or before January 31 of the year following the year in which the income payment was made. We also have BIR Form 2306, which is the Certificate of Final Tax Withheld at Source. This is a certificate to be accomplished and issued by the withholding agent to each recipient of income subject naman sa final tax. So the column amount of payment should indicate the amount paid and the total taxes withheld and remitted during the period. But I'd like to emphasize, this refers to income payment subject to final taxes. We also have BIR Form 2307 or the Certificate of Creditable Tax Withheld at Source. Alam natin that the BIR has expanded yung mga top withholding agents na kailangan din mag-withhold sa mga regular supplier of goods and services aside sa mga identified withholding tax rates. And this added requirement sa withholding agent requires additional time and effort in preparing the certificate. Kasi the certificate has to be accomplished and issued to recipients of income subject to expanded withholding tax paid by a withholding agent, including government money payments made by government office showing the monthly breakdown of the total income payments made, and total taxes withheld and remitted during the quarter or period. And lastly, we have the BIR Form 2316, which is the Certificate of Compensation Payment Tax Withheld. The use of e-signature definitely is helpful sa mga nagpe-prepare ng payroll kasi it lessened yung interaction sa mga employees, most especially yung iba naka-work from home pa. So this is an improvement of the process. The certificate is to be accomplished and issued to each employee receiving salaries, wages, and other forms of remuneration. And the BIR has indicated the policies regarding the e-signatures. First is the withholding agents or duly authorized representatives who issued the BIR forms or certificates have now the option to use the e-signature aside from the manual signature. So it means na pwede pa rin naman yung manual signature ng mga withholding agents. So it depends with the withholding agent. So they have the option to sign manually the certificates or for ease and convenience, use e-signature. And the e-signature serves as a functional equivalent of his or her manual signature on the certificate. Also, we have to remember that in case na ginamit na ng withholding agent yung e-signature sa pag-sign sa mga forms or certificates, hindi na kailangan ng approval ni BIR. We also have to remember the form or certificate to be issued or affixed with e-signature must be the latest version ng BIR form or certificate. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga taxpayers must be updated of the latest BIR form or certificates kasi in case the BIR makes revision or changes, the revised form or certificate shall be used. And remember, the form or the certificate shall also contain the manual signature or e-signature of the payee or the income recipient in order to be valid and binding. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang yung nag-prepare o yung withholding agent ang kailangan ng manual signature or e-signature on the certificate. It must also contain the signature of the payee or income recipient o kung sino yung nakatanggap ng bayad. Also, the e-signature gives rise to the following presumption. First, the signature is that of the person to whom it correlates. Ibig sabihin, yung e-signature may be identified to a particular person. Second, the e-signature was affixed by that person with the intention of authenticating or approving the electronic document to which it is related or to indicate the person's consent to the transaction. Ibig sabihin, the person who affixed his signature authenticated or approved that particular document. Or the other one is to show his consent on the certificate. And the third one is the methods or processes utilized to affix or verify the e-signature operated without error or fault. Ibig sabihin, when the document was issued, it was in order and it was regularly processed. And remember, in case of falsity or misrepresentation in the form or certificate, the BIR may file a criminal, civil, or administrative case against that responsible person. And remember, the penalty that will be imposed is not on the juridical entity, but on the partner, President, General Manager, Treasurer, Officer in Charge, and employees. Ibig sabihin, hindi yung juridical entity ang magiging liable. It is the person responsible for the falsity or misrepresentation. And remember, make sure that the form or certificate with e-signature will be issued only once. Yung isang beses mo lang i-issue. But in case the income recipient or the payee requested for another copy of the form or certificate but it's a reissuance. Ibig sabihin, the original copy was already given to him pero baka nawala. The reissued form or certificate should contain the word reprint watermark in Cambria font and has a font size of 144 in order to avoid yung maklaim yung tax credit twice. Especially ang sabi nila with BIR Form 2307. So remember, because of the E-Commerce Act, napapadali na yung mga transactions with government agencies and one of which is the use of e-signature on the BIR forms or certificates. But always remember the parameters or limitations set by RMC 29/2021. So that covers our discussion about e-signature on BIR form certificates. I hope you learned a lot from our discussion. If you have further questions or clarifications regarding our topic, you can contact us and we will be glad to assist you. Thank you very much. This is Attorney Arnold A. Apdua, CPA. I hope to see you in our future videos. Keep safe and God bless. Bye-bye.